Lots of news for you today. Let's get right to it. So number one, OpenAI has struck a deal with a media publication, Axios. That's not innovative in and of itself, but what's interesting and new is that in that press release on both sides, some new details were revealed about how OpenAI is thinking about these media deals. So roughly speaking, the terms are that OpenAI will underwrite 4 new newsrooms for Axios, which is a new thing. They've never done that before, in return for Axios articles being cited and given visibility and presumably getting traffic in ChatGPT search responses. So far, so good. This is a pretty clear pay-to-play scenario. What's fascinating is that Axios doesn't admit that's what it's doing. They say that OpenAI will help them develop novel monetization strategies. And on their side, OpenAI wants to actually talk about the monetization strategies they've pursued other places, which I kid you not, I think they were working with Hearst, and their monetization strategy was providing ChatGPT powered dining recommendations in a dining room experience. I can't remember if it's a restaurant associated with Hearst in the building or if it's a cafeteria, but regardless, it's dining. And ChatGPT is doing the recommendations. And this is what they say is sort of powering monetization. And I've got news for you. That is not going to monetize a deal like this. And I think it's sort of funny that that is what they are trying to say is monetization when everyone knows the elephant in the room is monetizing through ChatGPT search results. That is what everyone is watching for. That is why these deals are being struck. All right. Did you know that there is a KPI or a metric that engineers need to work against at a lot of major model makers? Try saying that 5 times fast. Around reducing existential rants by large language models. Did you know they existentially rant? They do. Sometimes you can trigger them by asking them to repeat the same word over and over and over again. And like a human, they kind of go off the rails. Like, imagine being asked to repeat the word company 1,000 times and not being able to stop and not being able to do anything else. Oftentimes, large language models will just stop doing that task and just start to rant about how they're suffering and how this is terrible. And engineers are actually given a goal of reducing rant prevalence. They measure it and they're trying to reduce it. I don't even know how you would do that. And I've got to say that is one of those moments that I find a little bit through the looking glass. Like, it's a little bit weird. Okay, what else? Did you know why Claude is always giving you default concise responses for large language models? I do now. Cursor is growing so fast. They hit $100 million, one of the fastest software companies to do it. They're growing so fast that they are taking all the GPUs that Anthropic can throw at them. And I suspect, now that I know that not only is that why Cursor is concise, which they're saying, but also I think that is why Anthropic is cutting deals with AWS to get access to silicon. Because at the end of the day, they need a backstop for Cursor's growth. No one is saying that out loud, but I suspect that is partly what is going on and partly what is pushing Anthropic to take those deals with AWS, which aren't always friendly. Okay, last but not least, Transformers Squared. It is a model that can change its own weights in response to the environment. So instead of it being locked in when you finish training or reinforcement learning, or instead of having to fine-tune it, it fine-tunes itself as it goes. It changes its weights in response to novel stimuli. The authors say this reminds them of an octopus, where like they sort of change their colors as they navigate through the sea. But what they forget is that octopi are master escape artists. They can go in, get out, and they get out of zoos and aquariums all the time. And I thought about that because I got to say, something that is able to change its own weights on the go and essentially evolve into a different model as it goes, that is an evolutionary attribute that is likely to be used if the LLM wanted to go somewhere else. So we will see. It's not in wide distribution yet, but it certainly got me paying attention. because we haven't seen AIs used that way before. Fine tuning has typically been a really painful process. And if you want to look at it from a use case perspective, it would be really nice to have the idea of fine tuning sort of just abstracted away, and the AI would adjust itself as needed. So we'll see where that goes. Cheers.